Welcome back to New Day. The papers are in. Daily Graphic has its headline: trainee nurses pay bribes to get feeding allowance arrears. Also, Supreme Court clears way for a Buakon North by-election. Limited registration makes serious appeal for resolution of differences over voter register. That's the Daily Graphic. On its back page, it says that Roads Minister inspects ongoing project in the Volta region. The Ghanaian Times newspaper says EC giving go-ahead as Supreme Court throws out suit. AG NMC ordered to file statements and woman grabbed for baby theft. Cabinet approves research fund bill, and special guest for the Independence Day, Uhuru Kenyatta, is the special guest for the Independence Day. Is also captured by the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And policy to regulate small-scale mining out soon. The Daily Guide newspaper: Minister misleads Mahama, angry Hohoi residents, and lawyer's life in danger over Zaneto's case. Ghana needs credible register, says Supreme Court. And that's the Daily Guide newspaper there. The Weekend Finder says Christians in idol worship, with a question mark. Also, Cocoa Board workers debunk revolt's claims. And I'm actually there to thrill fans at the Mogo Awards tomorrow, CTFM's Mogo Award tomorrow. The General Telegraph says NPP's desperation peaks as attempt to malign First Lady fails, and NDC rubbishes Akufo-Addo's counter address to the nation. Today newspaper says clergy angry over attacks at EC, and NPP desperate start smear campaign. That's captured by the Today newspaper. Also, Adentan NDC on fire. Quick one. A Business and Financial Times talks about new national airline imminent. President Mahama is quoted as saying an IDAF and EFC to merge into new Exim Bank. Enough of producing job seekers, enough of producing jobs. Those are captured by the BNFT, and publisher is saying stop the attack on Lodina Mahama. Ghanaian Observer says throw out spy bill, Malsinami defiance. And the Herald says Kufuor reveals Akufo-Addo's concocted road figures. Right, so those are the papers. My guest is seated, and let me introduce him. Mr. Dakwa is an economist, a chartered economist, and he joins us this morning. Mr. Amo Dakwa, good morning to you and welcome to the show. All right, then, so quick one. I actually want to start with the Independence Day celebration, and there's a story captured, an extensive report by the Daily Graphic and also the Business and Financial Times. But let me ask you, first of all, just give me a range. Where are you? Where do you sit? Your age, where do you sit?
In the 20s. Mid-20s. Why that question?
No, Ghana at 59, because I'm going to ask you about Ghana at 59 and what it means to you, 59 years.
Okay, thank you. A very good morning to viewers, wherever they are, for watching us from.
Sure.
I think general comments about Ghana's 59th anniversary. It's a call to reflection to me, if you ask why independence over the past 59 years. Have we been able to achieve why our forefathers what they set to achieve as in the vision? Why did they go for independence? So I think to me it's a call to reflection. Have we gotten to where we want to get to as a nation?
Sure.
I think in this year we have to this is what we have to be thinking about. If there is so much to be done, who is supposed to play the role? I think leadership is key. Looking at the history of Ghana's independence, I think there's so much to be desired of our leadership, and so it's a call to reflection on leadership, on the entire populace, what we have to do so that we can achieve the vision for which the independence was achieved by our forefathers.
Okay. One of the things I believe Kofi Annan mentioned that what Africa is going through is rather a leadership crisis. Do you share that view? Do you think that a lot of things that is happening on the continent, whether you want to pin it on poverty, whether you want to pin it on corruption, whether you want to pin it on even, the war Is it a question of leadership?
To a large extent, to me, to a large extent, we do say that everything rises and falls on leadership. And even there's a proverb in Chi, if anything should start rotting, it's going to start from the head. So leadership it's very key. Even in the 21st century, it seems to be Africa, we are going back to what happened in the 70s, whereby rulers ruled for so long and it brought so much abject poverty, wars, and diseases. And it seems some of the countries are going back to, which is not too good. And even as Ghana, which was the first nation in sub-Saharan Africa to gain independence, even as we celebrate our 59th anniversary, it should be a call to other nations. Why independence at the time? We did at the time wanted to bring freedom to our people, but we've been able to achieve political freedom. What about economic freedom, which makes us go begging again?
Sure.
So I think it's a call on leaders on the continent. So everything rises and falls on leadership generally, and it's a call for us to go for good quality leaders.
All right. So there's a story in the Business and Financial Times, and it has some interesting quotes. And here it says 59 years of nationhood, the journey so far. And it has interesting quotes from former President Rawlings, Dr. Hilla Leman. Do you have a favorite president?
Apart from coming from, I think
you're trying to be politically correct, or you don't want to be.
Not now.
Not really. All right. So let me just a quick one. It says here. I mean, this one is Kofi Buzia. Says here that diplomacy means the art of nearly deceiving all our friends, but not quite deceiving all our enemies. How do you understand that quote? It says diplomacy means the art of deceiving all our friends, but not quite deceiving all our enemies.
What contest? Maybe it was made in a contest there. But I think
but
maybe
if you're to make a general, I mean, and then let me go to President Rawlings. It says diplomacy makes true meaning when it is the kind of governance that advertises true people. Democracy, yes, makes true meaning when it is the kind of governance that advertises true people power. Also, never again, this is President Kufuor, never again should Ghanaians have to resort to dubious means to get to or live in foreign lands simply to make a living. I know recently, Dr. Mensah Waterbill, the General Overseer of the ICGC, made a statement where he talks about, it's just a revolution called, the youth to rise up and not to settle for, what is given them and strive to get more. And that was people read all kinds of meaning to it. If you're looking at Ghana's independence, what kind of revolution do you think we need?
A change must start from leadership. We shouldn't settle for less. That is the thing. There are countries that Ghana, at the time we gained independence, they also gained independence. Where are they now? If you are measuring the level of development, where are they now? And where is Ghana now? What needs to be done? What has gone wrong? I think, to a by and large extent, I think Ghana, there are successes that we've been able to chalk. In Ghana's 59 years of independence, I think so many things have gone wrong in terms of coup d'etats and autocracy at the time, so which couldn't help us. And is it because the countries that we do compare ourselves to, some of them might have gone through the similar history, but we have our unique history. But we came to the Fourth Republic in 1992. How many years now have we been able to chalk some good successes? I think this is what we should place. The history is there. History is supposed to guide us. I think it's a good call by the ICGC leader that we should demand for quality. We shouldn't settle for less. I think it's a very fantastic statement he makes. And looking at the demographics of Ghana, you see the youth forms the larger populace. And if there's anything to go by, so I read an article on Ghana's youth. Is it a ticking time bomb? Or is it something that is, something that is to go by? And it's a call on all young people in Ghana. Where do we see ourselves in the next 20 years, in the next 10 years? What is going to be our contribution now? Because I think we can talk about nation development, but we can talk about the very things that we want to see, but it behoves on us to play our role individually, and then much or most of the things must be done by leadership so that we create that enabling environment whereby people will be able to realize their opportunities abilities, the God-given talent, so that they can live in a nation. The report that the Kufuor's quote was saying that people are leaving the shores for greener pastures. So why are they living for greener pastures?
Never again. But I think even now where we have a lot more people who want to leave.
Yes, go to American embassy, go to the UK embassy, go to the various embassies. You see Ghanaians, they've lined up going for visas. Why? Because there are lack of opportunities. And looking at the demographics again, as I said, your youth go, a lot of them are young people who want to leave the shores of Ghana. Why are they leaving? Is it because we don't have quality education? Is it because we don't have quality health care system? What I
think a lot of them are going because of jobs.
Economic opportunities.
Yes,
Why don't we create that economic opportunities here? If the Ghanaian is supposed to live in the city of her own country and be able to make it, why not? So if it brings back the statement by the ICGC leader, if Mark Zuckerberg was to be in Ghana, will he be able to achieve what he has been able to do, or Steve Jobs or whatever? This tells us that as a nation we need to support what we do in our nation. We should be able to create opportunities for people to realize they are God-given.
But currently Europe is actually not the place you want to go, because yesterday I think the European Council President Donald Tusk made a statement, practically said, please don't come here. I was talking to economic migrants, don't come here because there are no jobs. Europe is already flooded with a lot of immigrants because of the war, Syria and all of that. And yet people still want to go. If you tell a Ghanaian not to, a Ghanaian guy who is determined to go to Europe, whether it is Spain, wherever they want to go, they are still determined to go. So what message do you think we should craft? How should we get around making it a disincentive for them to want to leave? How do we craft the message to get them out?
In comparison, maybe you are saying that Spain is not doing well, Italy is not doing well, but as compared to Ghana, you talk to people who are living in Europe and in America, and why are they not coming to Ghana? So many people do ask them. So if you say that Europe is not better, why are you still staying there and not coming to Ghana? It all brings back to the point that if you're able to create opportunities for people. We have a lot of people going through school now, but where are they going after school? We have a lot of jobless young people in Ghana. The issue about unemployment in Ghana, we have cyclical, we have frictional, but majority behoves on structure, which comes as a result of lack of economic opportunities, and then lack of a slowdown in the economy, and so industries are not able to create jobs for young people who are coming out of school, even though they have the skills. To even get jobs to do. So the message I will say to them is that we should contribute to nation building now, so that we can create a better Ghana in the next 10-20 years. The Ghana that we want to see, the Ghana that we can be proud of, the Ghana that every young man would want to stay and never want to leave the shores of this great nation. Okay, so Business and Financial Times has a story. It says new national airline imminent, and it's quoting President John Dramani Mahama. And I showed the story around, and people are like, really? When you hear, and this is a private-public partner, it's a PPP. Yeah. So President John Mahama says, government is working assiduously to get a new national airline established on a public-private partnership basis in the sky soon, after a successful pre-feasibility studies. Now, government, he was speaking at the sword cutting ceremony of the KIA T3. Which was actually done by the Turkish president. It would be nice to have a national airline, but at the same time, people are afraid. They are tensed. They are unsure how this will be managed. Yes, it sounds like PPP might be a good idea, but look at our history from Ghana Airways, where eventually we had to liquidate in 2005. Are we really ready for a national airline? If we want to go for a national airline, we have to revisit history. Why did Ghana Airways fail? Why did it fail? I think there are so many reasons that they will give. If we're able to identify the reasons why Ghana Airways fail, it should be, the foundation to, establishing a new airline. Looking at the new terminal that is going to be built at KIA, a lot of passenger travel. So we expect a lot of passenger travel, and we expect that Ghana, if we had a national airline, we are going to benefit. You see, countries have airlines. Air Rwanda flies here from Eastern Africa. We have SA, South Africa Airways also. And it's not just having, there's some national pride attached to having a national airline, but how effective and how efficient can it be? How can it serve the consumers who are...
But looking at how we're running state institutions even now, do you think we can do it? Because I remember, I think I was reading about it on it, and Ghana Airways at some point was banned by the US because it was operating. They were not, yes, and they were not conforming with safety, and also they were operating with an expired license. You know, the problems of Ghana was just multiple and quite unfortunate. Yeah. So, but does it look like the way we're running things that we can actually run this? Yes, you might say there is a public-private interest in it. But there will still be, once there's a government or public interest in it.
So are we saying that in this country, government cannot do anything successfully? But that is
not for government to prove.
Government should prove. I'm not sure that all institutions in government or all government institutions are failing now, though majority of them are not doing quite well. Let me be
sure.
Yes, the majority of them are not doing quite well. But that is not to say that governments cannot run businesses and run it effectively. Because in our 59th year, why have government institutions failed over the years? When Kwame Nkrumah was in power, a lot of institutions, a lot of companies, but all of them, Lehman, whatever, you can talk about.
Because there was a certain fear. There was a certain fear.
So it all comes back to the mind. So why can't we run our government businesses like we are running our own businesses? I think maybe one day your reporter should go and then talk to leaders of the various government institutions. I'm not sure that people are in government institutions and they just want government to fail. That is not what I don't believe that. Sure. Even though there might be some people who are there and they are there for their national their personal interests, at the expense of national interest. So I don't think it all comes back to the mind. I think that we can and we should be able to run so many countries. There are government institutions and they've been able to exist for decades. You go to Europe, you go to America, they have government institutions that have been able to expand beyond the borders of those countries. Why can't we do that in Ghana? Ghana Commercial Bank has been existing for so long.
What do we need to do?
Why can't we? It's all about effective leadership, and I think sometimes it's all about interference from government and then change of power. If we're able to separate partisan politics from professionalism, I think government institutions can run effectively. So that if you are selected onto a board of maybe
but be very
ECG,
honest. Okay, go ahead.
Maybe if you are selected onto the board of ECG, you are going to be there because you have knowledge, you have wisdom, you can contribute to, you have an expertise in that, very field. Not that, yes, we want jobs for the boys, and so no, we pick anybody from the street and just, or maybe pick somebody who has zero knowledge in that industry and put the person on the board, or maybe serving as a CEO, whatever capacity. I think if you're able to separate partisan politics from professionalism, we can run government institutions and run it very effectively. PPP is very good because once you have PPP in there, the private man is in business to make profit. Yes, that we are not saying that government is a Father Christmas and government is just distributing freebies, but government sometimes is there so that we provide a social good for the people, especially those who are not, that financially sound, and so that is why we have that thing there. And so I think if we have a public-private partnership, we should be able to run. But I don't want to believe that all government institutions they are there and they are there for us to feel. When in as much as we are celebrating our 59th anniversary, it should be a call. Why have we failed in running our state institutions? What were some of the problems and what were some of the challenges? So that we'll be able to, going forward, run government institutions and run them effectively.
So Ghana Airways got so bad that at some point some passengers were even actually held the pilots hostage. And I thought it was interesting. No, that's how bad things were.
Yeah, I knew somebody who worked at the time at Ghana Airways, and the person told me that you are there and then a call will come through from maybe
the plane is about to move. Hey,
yes,
minister is coming.
Minister is coming.
Minister, so make arrangement for him and his other people.
And sometimes people have luggages that did not pay because of the links that they had at the at the airways. So I have maybe 50 kilos, take it to US. Ghana Airways is flying to the US and they are not paying. If you are not paying, how would you want it to run and run effectively? So these are some of the things that we have to look at.
And
serious thing and running our business.
And I remember after that, a lot of if our staff of Ghana Airways, it took a long time for some of them to actually get over the fact that, you know, indeed we had lost our national airline, and they had to pay them compensation, running into some $8 million and all. So if we really want to run an airline, a national airline. I mean, there's a law we have. So it's nice to see South African Airways, nice to see Turkish Airline. It's nice to see, you know, Qatar Airways. Why can't Ghana have one?
There are a lot of opportunities in aviation now. Looking at where Ghana stands, so we have so many of the airlines using Ghana's routes. And that is why it has necessitated Ghana to go for and build a terminal again, because we know that passenger travel is increasing, and then we can make some good out of it. So there is a business out of going on in that industry, and so if you're able to make and get a national airline, I think we will be able to, as a nation, benefit from it.
Okay, I don't know if you've been following the Exim Bank debate in Parliament, where EDAF, EFC to merge into new Exim Bank, and government is set to appoint a transaction advisor to guide the integration of IDF and the export finance company to new Ghana Exim Bank. A report by the Finance Committee of Parliament says, and this follows, of course, the successful passage of it. Let me pick your initial thoughts on it, because I know the minority had raised concerns about, the usurping the powers of the Finance Ministry.
Yeah.
If they are not the one who are going to manage it or run the affairs.
They are going to have an oversight responsibility. Why not? Because it's going to be a government institution. But let's ask ourselves the very critical question. Exim Bank. Why an Exim Bank? What is the size of Ghana's export? What is the size of Ghana's import? What do we need as a nation? EDF has been in existence. I've read reports that EDF AGI members are not being supported by EDF. I don't know why were they not supported by EDF? Is it that they didn't have the financial capacity? Those are some of the things. Institutions are good. We have had Ghana at the time. We had the housing bank. We had whatever bank we had. We've had so many specialized banks in the but all of them, how many of them are existing now? Those are some things that we have to talk about and get solve it at the onset, so that we don't establish an Exim Bank, come back in the next 5 years and tell us that, oh, Exim Bank is not functioning, or because maybe it has got a limited capital, or maybe expertise-wise. Let's look at our, so it brings us to the question, we need an Exim Bank. What is the size of our import? What is the size of our export? Which are some of the areas that we can go into? I think specialized banks are good. If you look all over the world, the Turkish ambassador, president was here. His visit was facilitated by the Exim Bank of Turkey. They came along with 50-member business delegation. Turkey wants to export their goods to Africa, to West Sub-Saharan Africa. The Exim Bank, knowing what the Turkish government needs at this time in terms of export, those are some of the things that they are financing. So if you are going for an Exim Bank, what are exports? We've had traditional exports for so long. The gold, the cocoa, and then the oil has been our exports. Even until recently, we had oil. So the gold, the cocoa has been a traditional export, contributing more than 60% to our export value. If you want to go into an Exim Bank, what are some of the areas that you are looking out for? The non-traditional export, investing heavily in agriculture. I think,
and I'm told they have about, I think, 3,000 of them registered under the non-traditional. More than 3,000 of them.
So identify their needs. Why do they? Because I think so many people are exporting to Europe the crafts and the textile.
Pottery,
let's look at because they will give you their report and look at their potential in the growth of that industry. And I think it's something that we must look at in as much as even as we prepare to establish an Exim Bank.
Okay. The Daily Guide newspaper, we're moving to the Daily Guide newspaper, and it says here, Minister misleads Mahama angry Hohoi residents. And the President State of the Nation address, he spent a considerable amount of time talking about the roads that they have done. He went region by region, and people have gone back to look at, if you had your town, you want to know which part of the town are they constructing the roads. And we understand, Hohoi residents claim that, they, as mentioned by President Mahama, is not exactly the case, and then he may have been deceived by is it something that, that's forgivable? There's a whole lot of lists that President Mahama had for State of the Nation, such misses or mishaps forgivable, I mean excusable?
I think it's unpardonable because you're a minister of state and you have to report on what has been done. So was the president deceiving the nation or what?
Sure.
I'm not sure the president will address the nation and would want to deceive the nation. And so it brings back to there should be some level of seriousness in governance. If we are celebrating our 59th anniversary and we are boasting about roads that have not even been constructed, and people are going back to check, and their roads, they've mentioned their names, that their roads are in the budget, and sometimes their roads were awarded 2 years ago, but it has not been done. What are some of the challenges? Is it that we sit in Accra here and we allocate funds for contractors to
and then we don't go on the ground to check if it's been done?
If it has been done, it behoves on leadership. I think from district assembly level, we talk about development, we talk about decentralization. These are some of the things that decentralization should address, because I think that there's going to be a department for road at the district assembly level. If government has awarded maybe a 2 million contract to be used to construct the road in your district, you should be able to report accurately to your regional headquarters, and then it comes to national. I think by so doing we'll be able to give accurate information to our government. All
right, so we're still staying on well, it's not really politics, where the clergy are angry over attacks at commission, and I'm sure, well, it's a commission, but a lot of the attacks has also been directed at the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Madam Charlotte Osei, and that story is carried on page 20 of the Today newspaper. It's actually not in page 20, but you heard the Presbyterian moderator, Professor Marty, talks about the fact that the Electoral Commission chairperson seemed to rather talk a lot, about whether what's happening, how she goes about. There are some who already have issues with the manner, the posturing. But some say, well, she's not particularly different from Dr. Afarajan. Afarajan also had a way of talking to people, because the office inside is so hot that you've got to be firm, or else you could be bullied by these political parties. Let me pick your initial comment on I mean, the clergy stepping in. Good move by the clergy, at least it gives them a certain...
Yes. And so my moderator,
that's your moderator. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a good advice by my moderator to say that, yes, because information is very key. If you are reporting on, we are in an election year and the seat is already hot, and so if you are coming out with info and sometimes not credible or not accurate, people doubt the credibility of your institution, because we have a history and we should be guided by history. In 2012, we had to stay in court for 8 months in 2013, and so we should be guided by history. This thing shouldn't happen in Ghana again, whereby we have to go to court again. And so I think it's a step in the right direction. When EC is communicating, you should communicate accurately, and it's not everything that you have to comment about, because so many people have interest why they comment about issues concerning the Electoral Commission. And so if you are come out accurately, and then let everybody feel comfortable, because I think that in as much as we talk about democracy, election is for representation, but democracy in itself, it's not all about elections. There are so many things that we talk about. We talk about good governance, we talk about tenets of good governance like transparency, accountability, and inclusive governance, and all of these. So in as much as we go for election, it's a component of democracy. Let us have confidence in the Electoral Commission, so that all parties will be at ease when they are dealing with the Electoral Commission. But
how about the communication that the Electoral Commission use? Must everything go through the public affairs?
They have public affairs, but if issues that they think that the boss must address, I think it should be, because once the boss makes a mistake, who is going to correct that one?
Sure.
And so when they are coming out, it should be, they have a pre-house department, and it should be from them. And there are some issues that the boss can address, depending on the magnitude and their own, comment about it. So I think some of.
But do we need more institutions to step in? Institutions like the clergy. I mean, if you have the Christian Council will fall under that. You have certain institutions, let's say National Commission on Civic Education, and others. When they lend their weight, yes, the EC is an independent body, but when such certain institutions, sort of lend their weight to the Electoral Commission, it sort of stamps it sort of gives a certain look that, look, everyone is with the EC. Unlike, leaving the EC alone in the middle of the ocean and everyone, poking at them. Should we have more of such, comments from such institutions then?
Comments, or we have
support, whatever you want to call it.
I think they have an IPAC. We have an IPAC whereby political parties do sit on. I think there is also a component of civil society organization also sitting on it. And so that should give you some level of confidence. And we have committees whereby security experts do sit on for the EC, whereby people from National Service Scheme and so many other institutions. And these institutions and these select committees should be able to, help the EC achieve its goals and target. So, we should take it easy anyway. Sometimes the comments, so many people have interest why they are commenting about the EC, but we should take it easy. This is an election year. Let us not be raising so many red flags about the EC, but they should also make people have confidence in them, which is very critical in going into an election. Okay.
Now, it's 2016, so there's a lot of election, materials. And today, Newspaper House was actually, I think, is an opinion piece. It says here, IEA must include all presidential candidates in 2016 presidential debates. The IEA, traditionally, and still, I would imagine it hasn't changed yet, that it's only those who have representation in parliament, are allowed to take part in the presidential election. But some believe, and I remember, I think 2012, you had the other parties like the PPPs and the others. They held their own form of a debate.
Yeah.
Do you think we should, we should broaden it a bit and include all of them? Once you're standing for elections in Ghana, whether you have representation in parliament or not, you should be given that platform to also reach out to the Ghanaian and tell them why you should be the next, you should run the country.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad idea to include them. Once they are going to be on our ballot sheet, for Ghanaians to decide on them, why not give them an opportunity for them to also present to them, to Ghanaians or the electoral, populace, that this is what I have to do when I'm giving the power to rule. I think it's not a bad idea. But if you also want to stand and become president and you don't have a member of parliament, not even one, I think that's also leaves much to be desired. Because if you are a party that wants to be voted to form government, you should have some level of representation. I'm not saying that it can be done, but in terms of, the debates, they should be able to, be represented and be given an opportunity to present to Ghana what they have to offer. Going into 2016, I see the debates should be centered on issues. If you say that you want to come into power in the next 4 years, where do you want to take Ghana to? Let us have facts. Let us have figures. Now, the size of Ghana's GDP, according to the World Bank, in 2014 is about 38.6 billion. Now, in the next 4 years, if I'm giving the nod to rule, I want to grow it to maybe $80 billion. How are you going to do it? In terms of the various contributions, sector contributions, how are you going to do it? These are some of the things that I expect to appear in debates this year, rather than telling us that, give me power, I'll make life very easy.
But what a lot of people say, in fact, what happens in Ghana is actually not a debate. It's just an opportunity for them. Yeah, they talk to Ghana. They have, of course, they have people, who quiz them. Yeah. And even the rebuttals, it's a bit more calm. I mean, if you watch the presidential debate in the U.S., even just among Republicans or among Democrats,
it's so hot.
Could feel, because it is so hot, the back and forth, and you have the opportunity.
It's topical, and because you have to, if you want to compare that of America to Ghana,
it's a debate.
I know. Level of literacy. How many Ghanaians know, if you want to talk about economic growth, do an interview.
Oh, that's why the politicians are able to deceive them.
Yes. And if somebody, if the person does not know what you are talking about, what are you talking about now? So, yes, the fundamental thing is that literacy level in Ghana is low as compared to that of the US. But I think people should be able to communicate right. Let me go into theories of voting. Why do even people vote for people? Ideological model. I believe in maybe capitalism. I believe in liberalism. So I'm voting for that party based on that. We also have party identification. I belong to the NDC. I belong to the MPP. I belong to CPP. I belong to the newest ACP. And so I'm voting for them because I belong.
Is it APC?
ACP. Yes. So I'm voting for them because I belong to that party. A sociological model, which Ghanaians do vote, use that model. We go to the same church, or maybe we are from the same tribe, or maybe we are from the same region. We went to the same secondary school, or we were in the same university. Let me vote for the person. And the critical thing, the rational model of voting, whereby people are voting on issues when it comes to health, when it comes to education, when it comes to economics, people are voting on the issues. I think going forward, my general advice to Ghanaians, we should be able to vote on this rational model. So it doesn't matter whether I belong to the MPP or the NDC. It's about the issue. It's about solving the problems that the Ghanaian do face. I think we'll be able to make a better choice at all levels of our elections, whether parliamentary or presidential. So that's my comment about the theories of voting.
But it doesn't look like those parties will be included. Of course, the IEA has consistently said that it would make it really, really long, because you have all the representatives, I mean, you have a Kriadonko there, you would have a Kriadonko there, and it means that you need a translator, because I'm sure she would want to make her presentation in Twi. And you have, DFP, you have, NR, all of them would come.
Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can. You see, over the past, since 1992, the political space has been dominated by the MPP and the NDC.
Sure.
And they keep on dominating. We don't even have a very strong third force, which is not too good for our democracy. Because in as much as we want to talk about democracy, we talk about representatives, and we talk about political parties having representatives at every level of national development. And so these are some of the things that we want to consider. Adding them to a debate, I think it's good, and I think it's going to be, even though they are going to be quite a lot, but they are going to address the issues on topical basis. And I think that's it. So you say you want to you want to be president. What's your take on health?
What's your policy on
what
this?
is your
What's your policy on that?
Yeah, but critical policy with timelines. And sometimes when you're at the back of a thing, you think that this is how it's supposed to be. And so you think it's easy. I will do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. What about if you come to government and it's not what you thought? You are going to come back to Ghanaians and say, oh, this is not how I thought the thing was going to be like. And so what we have gotten to now, right? 59 years, we should be serious about governance.
But it will take time for us to talk about the issues, to really deal with the issues.
We should be able to.
No, because like you mentioned, literacy is a problem. But somehow the politicians are able to communicate with them. Obviously, if you go to the rural areas, in fact, not even people who have been to school don't even understand the issues, to be quite honest. So they communicate with them in the language that they get. And the language, I don't even mean whether it's Trigan, no, language as in how they think the message should be carved for them.
Yeah, that is a very legitimate point you're making. Participation is very key in good governance. So we are expecting that the one who sells tomatoes on Kede market or maybe Subi market, we should be able to communicate to the person, for the person to understand that if you give me the nod to rule, this is how I'm going to rule the nation. Sure. I think it should be, they all have, I think most of the parties do have, constituency executives, and they should be able to, these are the things that I'm looking out for, either than doing just mere propaganda. Sure. Be able to communicate the issues to them. This is how, if you vote for me, this is how I intend to, and it should run through from the president to their presidential candidate to the very, yes,
to district level.
To the district level.
Right. So the biggest story captured by the Daily Graphic newspaper here says trainee nurses pay bribes to get feeding allowance arrears. And it's actually a chain of events. When the monies are locked up at the Controller and Accountant General's departments, they connive with the help of others they pay money to get those monies paid. So I'll just read a paragraph. It says, undue delay by the Controller and Accountant General's departments in paying arrears due some final year students of the Cape Coast College of Nursing and Midwifery has left the students at the mercy of syndicates which charge fees and release their arrears. And they do so by mobile money. Sometimes, it could be pre and post. If you get the money, you can pay them after. But they agree. And this is the interesting part. I think it's also the saddest part. Is that the students themselves or the victims don't see anything wrong with it, because it becomes like the norm. And this is happening, you know, you're talking about teacher trainee and also the controller and accountants general. How do we get rid of this? Some would say people must be punished.
It's a sad development. A trainee nurse wanting to be a nurse, not even a nurse now, but the person sees nothing wrong in paying bribes. And most of them are young people.
Yeah, they're paying 200 cities, 500 cities, but then if the money is delaying, so they form, you know, a clique, a syndicate, and arrange with them that, okay, our monies should go to the, and then the inside persons, they work around it, you know, they move their papers around so they can get their arrears paid.
Why should somebody pay money for the person's
to
arrears
receive
to
the
be?
arrears?
That is the thing. Why did we get there? If government knows that you are owing people these sums of monies, why don't you give them a deadline, even if you don't have the money now? Sure. We talk about lean wage bill, and we talk. These are all things. This it forms part of our arrears, and it's a drain it's a drain on our expenditure. So why do we have to pay bribes in the first place? If there are arrears, what is the roadmap to paying those arrears, so that people don't dupe this? Because they are young. If you tell them that I'm going to give you 200 cedis for you to, you know, get my allowance arrears for me, the person would graciously would want to do it, because some of them are not guided by ethics of integrity and whatever, and love for nation. They are looking for their money, and so they will pay the bribe, which is.
But I should set an example from some of, because I mean, if the students, if they approach you and you can't do it, you will not help them. But once the system itself allows you, obviously you will take the money and let them go through the system.
And that is the thing. When we talk about creating a strong institution, these are some of the things that we talk about. Somebody sits as controller in accountants general department and collect bribe from student nurses, training nurses, to let their, you know, papers go through so that they are being paid. Why should this happen? Why can't we get an automated system whereby we know that you have arrears? You see, the whole issue about NAGRAT has issues and NAT has issues with the government because of arrears, and some of them are even paying bribes for their arrears to be released, which is so bad. And that is to say that the controller and accountant, you know, it seems it's something going on there, and people are concerned. What is the leadership doing about it? Because it seems that institution, once you're able to get bribes being paid, we will give you. They are due those allowances. It's not as if that people have worked and they are not getting their pay and all that. If government has no money to pay, what is the roadmap, so that people don't go on the sidelines to tell people pay bribes and give me this and I'm going to help
money. I was even surprised that they're using mobile money.
But they are confident in them. They have a lot of confidence in those people that they are dealing with. It is so bad. This is the nation that we are building, a nation that is going to celebrate 59 years on Sunday, and we can't even pay allowances, and people are so confident in paying bribes, and we don't do anything about it.
And I mean, it's students, so imagine if they become, you know, they are out of the system, it would continue even through their work.
We're talking about.
And let me just read this. That says, you know, according to the interpersonal, you know, payroll database of the units of the Ministry of Health, the 19 students were just a small part of 288 beneficiary final year diploma students of the college anxiously expecting their arrears. Now, you know, 619 students were to receive their arrears, but were divided into batches. So a batch can agree that, you know what, let's pay, each person pay 500, 200, so that our monies can come early.
Was it with a timeline?
It is so wrong. I think it is so wrong.
If there's a timeline, why are they paying bribes to receive it? I think it's an indictment on this ministry should come out to, you know, speak about this issue. And people must be punished, because if this goes scot-free, everybody said they will sit in their offices and collect bribes from people to give them their allowance. They have due these allowance. It's not as if that it's monies that they are siphoning and they are not due. These are areas that they have to be.
But what is even interesting is that the CAG, the cause of delay, apparently they are saying that, you know, tracing the process of payment, Daily Guide found out that the students' arrears had delayed because the Controller and Accountant General had not effected payment after all the required processes, including, you know, clearance for the department. And they spoke to the Director of Payroll, and he says that he wouldn't know because he's dealing with a large database, and says that it's not right, whether appreciation or whatever means, it's not right for people to pay. But they are paying. Are they saying they are not aware that people are taking money?
They are aware. They are really aware, and they should punish people who are doing that. These are training nurses, and there's the same issue for training colleges, college of education. So these are certain things that needs to be addressed so that we don't. Because if young people are comfortable paying bribes at this age, what about if they start having families? That is the thing.
Yeah.
They don't have any dependent. Most of them don't have dependents now. If they start having dependents, what are they going to do when they are given the power in public office? These are some of the things that we are very passionate about our nation and want to see it develop. And so what is the role of young people in making the nation develop?
I absolutely love that. A very big thank you to you, Mr. Amo Adakwa. He's a chartered economist. He joined us this morning to look at the paper